To ancient wisdom. Features of ancient law. Today we will see 5 distinguishing features of ancient law as compared to current law. The first and foremost, the king in India or the Raja in India was subservient to Dharma. Everybody is subservient to Dharma, and that is the way of life, and each person's way of life is given, society's way of life is defined, country's way of life is defined, and any deviation from this way of life is called as breach of law. The law may not be written, it may not be pronounced, but it is there and it is manifesting through your behavior, through the country's behavior, through the society's behavior, and through the person's dharma. So it is the manifestation that matters, and this was taken as the law. Third is truth and not necessarily proof is considered the essence of dharma. Everybody is supposed to speak truth because that is his dharma, that is in line with the dharma. And whether somebody else is there to prove it or not, the person's own word, even against himself, is taken for granted. It is not to be under duress, or it is not to be under compulsion, or it is not to be under some kind of force. But other than that, your word is enough in any of these matters, and it is acceptable to the court as well as to the king and to the society. At times, when there was suspect whether the word is correct or not, whether the word is truthfully spoken or not, there would be sacred places where the person would be taken and would be asked to utter whatever he has uttered before. And mind you, very few, microscopic minority would go against this diktat, and in general truth prevailed. So truth, not the proof. And strangers, fourth is strangers were exempt from the laws. Today it is said that if you are not knowing the law, that is no excuse. Wherever you are in that land, you got to follow the law whether you know it or not. But in ancient law, the law was applicable differently to a Brahmin, to a Kshatriya, to a Vaishya, to a Shudra, and to a stranger. A stranger would be dealt very leniently if it was seen that he did not know the law and that was why breached it unknowingly. And whereas on the other side, the higher the person is in the hierarchy of the society, the higher would be the quantum of punishment. The more educated the person and the more the crime he committed, the punishment would be more severe. Whereas if the crime was committed for some base reasons, the punishment would be lesser in quantum. Fourth is Shishyoparardhe Guror Danda. So anybody who is committing a crime, the highest authority on him is responsible either vicariously or directly. So for that matter, if a Shishya commits a crime or Shishya commits a breach of law, his guru is also responsible because guru did not teach him properly. If a servant commits a breach, the boss is responsible, and if a citizen commits a breach, the king is responsible. In fact, if it could be seen that the citizen committed the breach because of a compulsion, like stealing because he did not have anything to eat, then it is the king who is solely responsible, because the king was supposed to be the feeder of whole of the citizens or prajajana. And lastly, it is the unpaid debt. In case of unpaid debt, the lineage is taken from the parents. So the children take up the unpaid debt of the parents, this way assuring the sahukar that his money would be paid back no matter what. Of course, usurious interest was banned, and every year the books of accounts would be washed clean. So it would be year to year accounting, cash accounting, but at the same time the sahukar was assured by the children that they would be the one who would take up the burden if anything happens to their parents. So also, as unpaid debt was seen as a sin, and for which one would have to take rebirth to pay back that sin, to avoid the rebirth, people would go to any extent and anyhow would repay the debt. So these were the 5 distinct qualities of ancient law as was practiced in Indian subcontinent in ancient times. That is from ancient wisdom. Namaskar.